All right, let's dive in. Today we're tackling your research on Western Canada.
Sounds like a great adventure.
It is, and we've got a lot to cover.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, we've got notes here on British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Ontario.
Hmm. Quite the stack.
It is. So our mission is to really sift through all of it and find those unique things, those little intriguing historical footnotes, the cultural elements that really make each province unique.
I like it, a deep dive, uncovering those hidden gems.
Exactly. And, to get us started, get this. Did you know that Winnie the Pooh was actually named after a Canadian city?
No, that's a fun fact I didn't know.
Yeah, right. We'll get to that and a whole lot more. But first, let's set our compass west to the Pacific Coast and British Columbia.
Beautiful British Columbia. It's such a fascinating province because it really embodies that cultural fusion.
Oh, absolutely.
You've got indigenous populations like the Coast Salish and Haurita, and then you layer on top of that Asian influences, especially from Chinese and Japanese communities.
Right.
And all of that sits on a base of European roots.
It's like this cultural tapestry, isn't it?
It truly is.
Yeah. But it's also interesting how British Columbia seems to embrace these contradictions.
Oh, tell me more.
You've got this eco-conscious progressive energy, especially in places like Vancouver and Victoria.
Yeah, very forward thinking.
But you also have this really strong outdoorsy, adventurous spirit.
That's true. It's a place where you can hike in a rainforest in the morning and then enjoy a world-class meal in the city in the evening.
It's so true. So it makes me wonder, how do those two sides coexist so well?
That's a great question. I think the key is understanding that British Columbia's natural beauty is both a source of inspiration and a call to action.
Hmm?
You've got those stunning coastal rainforests, the ski slopes of Whistler Blackcomb attracting all kinds of nature enthusiasts.
Right.
But simultaneously, there's this huge environmental activism movement pushing for sustainability and responsible development.
That makes total sense.
This tension between, development and preservation. That's something that really defines British Columbia, I think.
Yeah. I mean, when you have something that beautiful, you want to protect it, right?
Absolutely.
And British Columbia's history is full of these kind of defining moments.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, you've got the Fraser Canyon Gold Rush back in 1858
That brought in a huge wave of settlers.
from all over the world.
Yeah.
And then the completion of the Canadian Pacific Railway in 1885.
That really cemented BC's place in Canada, connecting it to the rest of the country.
Right, exactly. But it's not all, sunshine and roses, right?
Yeah.
There are some darker chapters, too.
Of course, every place has its complexities,
Uh,
and British Columbia is no exception. Take the Komagata Maru incident in 1914. This ship carrying Sikh immigrants was turned away due to discriminatory immigration policies at the time.
That's a tough part of their history.
It is. It serves as a stark reminder of the challenges that immigrants have faced and the fight for equality that continues even today.
It's a reminder that history isn't always pretty. And even a place as seemingly welcoming as BC has its complexities.
Right? Absolutely. It's important to remember that.
But I'm curious, when we talk about those different cultural influences, where do you see it most strongly reflected in British Columbia?
Well, you just have to look at their traditions.
Okay.
You've got Victoria Day celebrations kind of nodding to their British colonial past, right?
Right.
But then juxtaposed with that, you have the vibrant Dragon Boat Festival showcasing their Asian heritage. It's a really interesting mix, and even their music scene reflects this blend.
Oh, for sure. I mean, Bryan Adams, Michael Bublé, Sarah McLachlan, Nelly
A
Furtado,
diverse range of talent.
they all come from BC, and their styles are so distinct.
Right, and for the indie music fan, Vancouver scene is absolutely incredible.
Oh, it's booming.
It is. Plus, you have indigenous artists blending traditional sounds with modern genres. It's really amazing to see.
It speaks to this openness to creative expression in BC,
I think so, yeah.
which is so cool. Speaking of cool, let's talk food.
All right, my favorite topic.
I mean, fresh Pacific salmon, spot prawns,
The seafood is incredible.
world-class sushi in Vancouver,
Yeah.
thanks to that Japanese influence.
And we can't forget Nanaimo bars.
Oh, the classic. The true BC classic.
Definitely a must-try.
Right. And we also can't overlook their amazing wine scene.
Oh, the Okanagan Valley is producing some fantastic wines.
Okanagan wines they're getting so much recognition these days.
They are. It's really exciting to see.
It's really cool. So it's interesting how BC's food scene really Mirrors its cultural blend, right?
Yeah, you can find everything from high-end fusion cuisine to those local Okanagan wines and craft brews.
And then, of course, there's the wildlife.
Ah, yes.
The spirit bear, that rare white black bear, considered sacred by some First Nations.
It's such a unique and majestic creature.
So unique to BC.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you've got those orcas patrolling the coast and those lush, lush coastal rainforests just teeming with life. It's no wonder they call it beautiful British Columbia.
It's a fitting nickname for sure, and that natural beauty, it's a huge draw for filmmakers as well.
Oh, totally. British Columbia has really earned that nickname, Hollywood North, right?
They have.
I mean, Deadpool, The X-Files, even Twilight was filmed amidst those gorgeous landscapes.
It's like a natural film set.
And then, of course, you've got actors like Ryan Reynolds and Kobe Smulders. They were born in BC.
Keeping that Hollywood connection strong.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's not just the landscapes, from
Yeah.
the bustling urban energy of Stanley Park and Granville Island in Vancouver.
Vancouver's such a vibrant city.
It is. To the kind of British charm of Victoria with the Butch Art Gardens. And,
A little bit of old England right there on the West Coast.
yeah, exactly. BC really has something to offer everyone.
It does.
Yeah.
And for the more adventurous traveler, there's always Tofino's surf culture and the rugged beauty of Haida Gwachi.
Oh, those are on my list.
Amazing places.
Yeah, they are. But for now, let's trade those ocean views for some wide open skies. We're heading east to Alberta.
All right, let's go.
Alberta, where the spirit of the Wild West meets modern sophistication.
A fascinating mix indeed.
It is. When I think of Alberta, I think of rodeos, ranching culture.
The cowboy image is strong.
It is. It is. That adventurous spirit, the Calgary Stampede, the vast badlands, where dinosaurs once roamed.
Right, a land of contrasts.
It is. It is. And of course, those breathtaking Rocky Mountains.
It's almost a cliche, but it's true.
It's true. But there's a lot more to Alberta than just cowboys and mountains, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, take their art scene, for example. The Edmonton Fringe Festival. It's the largest of its kind in North America.
A hub of creativity.
It is. It's attracting performers and audiences from all over the globe.
Really showcases the diversity of Alberta's cultural scene.
So it's not all cowboy hats and boots then, huh?
Not at all. You've got this blend of the rugged and the refined.
I like that.
And I think their history reflects this as well. Alberta's transformation from indigenous lands to a province shaped by the oil boom is a story of both economic growth and evolving challenges.
That oil boom is such a huge part of Alberta's identity, but it's also, it's controversial.
It is. It's a complex issue with strong opinions on all sides.
Yeah.
The oil sands in places like Fort McMurray are a key part of the economy.
For sure.
But there are also concerns about the environmental impact.
Yeah, it's a conversation that Alberta is actively having.
It is. How do you balance economic prosperity with environmental sustainability? That's the big question.
Tough question.
It is. And I imagine those conversations can get pretty heated sometimes.
I bet. But let's not forget the fun stuff. The Calgary Stampede.
Yes. The greatest outdoor show on earth.
It's more than just a rodeo, right?
It really is. It's a 10-day celebration of Alberta's spirit, food, music, heritage. It's an experience.
True immersion into the heart of Alberta.
Exactly. And speaking of music, Alberta has produced some truly incredible artists.
Oh, for sure. Katie Lang, Jan Arden, Nickelback.
Spanning the genres.
They'll call Alberta home.
They do.
You got country, you got pop, you got rock. Alberta's got it all.
It really does. And if you're a foodie, get ready for some serious indulgence.
Oh, I'm always ready to eat. Alberta beef is legendary, but what else should we be trying?
Well, don't overlook the bison.
Okay.
It's leaner than beef, and it has this slightly sweeter flavor.
That sounds good.
And of course, no trip to Alberta is complete without trying Saskatoon berry pie. It's a prairie staple.
Oh, I love Saskatoon berry pie. It's so good.
It is.
And I hear the craft beer scene in Alberta is booming too.
It is. There are so many amazing breweries popping up all over the province.
Oh, very cool.
Hey.
But we can't talk about Alberta without mentioning those iconic views, Banff and Jasper National Parks.
Breathtaking. Just breathtaking.
They're just breathtaking. Turquoise lakes, glacier-capped peaks.
That classic image of the Canadian Rockies.
It draws visitors from all over the world.
And for good reason. It's a landscape that stays with you.
It really does. It's amazing to think that dinosaurs once roamed those same landscapes.
Yeah, it is. Imagine standing in the vast badlands of Drumheller, the dinosaur capital of the world.
Oh, wow.
Or, gazing at a herd of elk grazing in a meadow. It's truly incredible.
And speaking of amazing landscapes, Alberta's scenery has attracted Hollywood too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Movies like The Revenant and Brokeback Mountain.
Filmed amidst those majestic Rocky Mountains.
Yeah, it's easy to see why filmmakers are so drawn to Alberta.
It's a landscape that evokes a sense of grandeur and wilderness that's hard to find elsewhere.
Well said. All right, we've experienced the coastal beauty of BC, the wild spirit of Alberta. Now, are you ready to chase those wide open skies? Next stop, Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan, the land of living skies. That's where those vast prairies just stretch towards endless horizons.
Oh, I can almost feel the wind in my hair already.
It's quite a feeling.
Big skies, stunning sunsets, the northern lights dancing overhead.
It's all about that sense of endless space.
It is, it is. But beneath those vast skies lies a rich history and culture, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Deeply rooted in indigenous traditions and that enduring pioneer spirit.
It's a land that has been shaped by generations of people who have lived in harmony with nature.
I'm really interested in learning more about that. What are some of the key things we should know about Saskatchewan's history?
Well, Saskatchewan is a place where the heritage of the Cree, Saulteaux, Dakota, Dane, and Métis communities
Wow, so many.
intertwines with the stories of the ranchers and farmers who settled the land.
It's a mix of cultures and traditions.
It is. And we can't talk about Saskatchewan's history without mentioning the treaty era
The treaty era.
and its lasting impact on Indigenous land rights.
Can you tell me a little more about that?
Well, between 1871 and 1921, 11 numbered treaties were signed between the Canadian government and various First Nations.
Mm.
These treaties aim to define land rights and establish a framework for peaceful coexistence.
Okay.
But, they also had a profound and complex effect on Indigenous communities, many of which continue to grapple with the implications today.
So it's not just a historical event.
No, it's not.
The legacy of the treaty era is still being felt.
Absolutely. And it's crucial to understanding Saskatchewan's present-day social and political landscape.
That's really interesting. Another key figure in Saskatchewan's history is Louis Riel, right?
Yes, he's a significant figure.
He led the Northwest Resistance of 1885, fighting for the rights of the Métis people.
He did.
His legacy seems particularly strong in Saskatchewan.
It is. Riel is a complex figure, seen as both a hero and a rebel. But his fight for the recognition and autonomy of the Métis people undeniably shaped Saskatchewan's identity.
Yeah, it's fascinating how these historical events continue to resonate today.
It is. History is never truly in the past.
It's true, it's true. But enough about history for now. Let's talk about something a little lighter. What about Saskatchewan's unique traditions? What comes to mind?
Well, you have the classic rodeos and agricultural fairs that are so popular across the prairies.
Of course, of course.
But Saskatchewan also has this incredible sense of community spirit.
Oh.
Nowhere is this more evident than at a Saskatchewan Rough Riders football game.
Oh, I've heard about the Rider Pride. It's legendary.
It is. The fans are incredibly passionate and dedicated. And then there are those watermelon helmets.
The watermelon helmets.
Yeah.
Where did that tradition come from?
It's a bit of a mystery, actually. Some say it started as a prank. Others claim it's a tribute to Saskatchewan's agricultural heritage. But whatever the origin, it's a symbol of that playful, passionate energy that defines the Rough Riders fan base.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun.
It is.
And what about Saskatchewan's music scene? What kind of sounds are coming out of the prairies these days?
Well, while country music certainly reigns supreme in Saskatchewan,
Yeah, of course.
there's a surprising amount of variety.
Okay.
You've got artists like Coulter Wall, who blends folk, blues, and country into this haunting Western sound.
I like it.
And then you have the Sheepdogs, a rock band from Saskatoon, making waves internationally with their classic rock vibes.
It's great to see that mix of tradition and innovation.
It is. Saskatchewan's music scene is definitely worth checking out.
Okay, good to know. And what about the food? What are some must-try Saskatchewan specialties?
Well, you can't talk about Saskatchewan without mentioning Saskatoon berries.
Oh, there they are again. Those Saskatoon berries.
They're everywhere. Pies, jams, syrups, you name it.
I'm sensing a theme here.
There's a reason they're called Saskatchewan's provincial berry. And I have to admit, I'm a sucker for a good Saskatoon berry pie.
Oh, me too. It's the perfect blend of sweet and tart.
It is. But, Saskatchewan also has a strong Eastern European heritage.
Oh, right.
So you'll find delicious pierogies and cabbage rolls on many menus.
Okay.
And here's a fun fact for you. Saskatchewan is the world's largest exporter of lentils.
Lentils, seriously.
It's true, and they're incredibly versatile. You can find them in soups, stews, salads, even veggie burgers. If you're feeling adventurous, I encourage you to try some of the unique lentil dishes that Saskatchewan chefs are creating.
I'm definitely intrigued.
You should be.
Now, I read something interesting in your notes about a place called Cypress Hills. What's so special about them?
Ah, yes. The Cypress Hills are the highest point in Saskatchewan.
Oh.
And what's fascinating is that they feature this unique flora that contrasts with the surrounding prairies.
Interesting.
It's like a little pocket of biodiversity, almost like an island in a sea of grass.
Wow, that's amazing. All right, we've covered a lot of ground in Saskatchewan, from those wide open skies to that rich history and culture. It seems like a province with a lot to offer.
It certainly is. Saskatchewan often gets overlooked.
Yeah.
But it's a province full of hidden gems and a unique spirit that's worth exploring.
Well said. Are you ready to keep heading east? Our next stop is Manitoba, the heart of Canada.
Let's go! I'm excited to explore more of this incredible country.
Manitoba is often called the Keystone Province.
It is.
And it's a fitting nickname, right? It sits right at the crossroads of Canada, where east meets west.
Right in the center.
And it reflects that in its blend of Indigenous, Métis, and European cultures.
A true cultural mosaic.
It sounds like a real melting pot of influences.
It truly is. And that blend is what makes Manitoba so captivating. You have the deep-rooted traditions of the Cree, Ojibwe, Dakota, and Dene people,
Right.
layered with the vibrant culture of the Métis Nation,
Mm-hmm.
all interwoven with a strong European heritage.
It's amazing to think about how all those cultures have come together to shape Manitoba's identity. What are some of the key historical moments that have really shaped the province?
Well, the Red River Rebellion of 1869-1870 is a pivotal event in Manitoba's history.
Oh, yeah.
It really set the stage for the province we know today.
Right. That's the one led by Louis Riel, isn't it?
Exactly. Riel, a Métis leader, fought for the rights and recognition of the Métis people in the face of encroaching Canadian settlement.
Right.
The rebellion, though ultimately unsuccessful in its immediate goals, led to the creation of the province of Manitoba in 1870, which was a significant victory for the Métis.
So Riel's legacy is really strong in Manitoba, even more so than in Saskatchewan.
I'd say so, yes. He's a complex and controversial figure, but his fight for Métis rights and his role in the creation of Manitoba have secured his place as a key figure in the province's history.
Yeah, I can see how that struggle for recognition and self-determination would resonate so deeply with the Métis people.
It does. It's a story of resilience and cultural pride that continues to inspire people today.
It's inspiring, yeah. I'm ready to explore more. What about Manitoba's capital city, Winnipeg? What's the vibe there?
Winnipeg is a vibrant hub with a thriving arts and culture scene.
Oh, cool.
The Royal Winnipeg Ballet is one of Canada's oldest and most respected ballet companies.
Oh, wow.
And the city has a really rich theater scene as well.
I bet. I've heard great things about the Winnipeg Fringe Festival, too.
Oh, it's fantastic. A real celebration of independent theater.
It's not all highbrow arts, though, right?
Oh, definitely not. Winnipeg has a very down-to-earth friendly vibe.
I like that.
And don't forget about St. Boniface, Winnipeg's French Quarter, where you can experience a taste of French-Canadian culture and history.
Oh, that's cool. I love that Manitoba has this strong French-Canadian presence. And speaking of unique experiences, tell me about this Festival de Voyageurs I keep hearing about.
Festival du Voyageur is a truly unique Winnipeg experience. It's held every February, and it celebrates the fur trading history of the region. Imagine ice sculptures, snowshoeing, traditional food, and music.
Sounds like a winter wonderland.
It really is, and it's a fantastic way to experience Manitoba's multicultural heritage and that spirit of celebration that runs deep in the province.
I'm definitely adding that to my travel bucket list.
You should. It's a must-see.
Now let's talk music. What kind of sounds are coming out of Manitoba?
Well, Manitoba has a strong musical legacy. We're talking the Guess Who, Neil Young, Bachman Turner Overdrive.
Those are some big names.
They all have roots in Manitoba. And for a more contemporary sound, check out Begonia.
Begonia.
Yeah, she's an indie pop artist making waves with her soulful vocals and catchy melodies.
I love discovering new artists. I'll have to check her out.
You should.
What about Indigenous musicians? Are there any that you'd recommend?
Oh, absolutely. Manitoba has a vibrant Indigenous music scene. Artists like William Prince with his heartfelt folk ballads, and Leonard Sumner, who blends hip-hop and spoken word with traditional storytelling.
Oh, wow.
They're just two examples of the incredible talent coming out of Manitoba.
Sounds like there's something for everyone musically.
There really is. Manitoba's music scene is a reflection of the province's diverse cultural landscape.
Okay, let's move on to the important stuff. Food. What are some must-try Manitoba dishes?
All right, let's talk food. Well, bison is a popular choice in Manitoba.
Oh,
Pickerel, a delicious freshwater fish, is another local favorite.
mm.
And of course, we can't forget those ubiquitous Saskatoon berries.
Oh, they do seem to be everywhere on the prairies.
They're a true prairie delicacy, but is there anything truly unique to Manitoba? A dish that you can only find there?
Hmm, good question. I'm curious now.
Definitely. Have you ever heard of honey dill sauce?
Sunny dill sauce.
It's a Manitoba invention, usually served with chicken fingers.
That's a new one for me.
It might sound strange, but trust me, it's a delicious combination.
Honey dill sauce and chicken fingers. I'll have to try it.
You should. It's a Manitoba classic.
Now, I have to ask about this polar bear capital of the world thing I keep seeing in your notes.
Ah, you're talking about Churchill. Located on the shores of Hudson Bay, Churchill is one of the best places in the world to see polar bears in their natural habitat.
Wow, that's incredible. I can only imagine how amazing that would be. And I hear you can see beluga whales there, too.
Yes. In the summer months, thousands of beluga whales migrate to the warmer waters of the Hudson Bay near Churchill. It's truly a spectacular sight.
So Manitoba, it sounds like a nature lover's dream come true.
It is. From polar bears to beluga whales, there's so much to see.
Oh, and before I forget, what about that fun fact you mentioned earlier about Winnie the Pooh?
Oh, right. You're not going to believe this, but the beloved bear was actually named after Winnipeg.
Wait, really? Tell me more.
During World War I, a Canadian soldier named Lieutenant Harry Colborne was traveling through Winnipeg on his way to Europe.
Okay.
He encountered a trapper selling a bear cub and decided to buy her, naming her Winnie after his hometown.
Huh?
He brought Winnie with him overseas, but eventually she ended up at the London Zoo, where she became a beloved attraction.
Wow.
And as fate would have it, A.A. Milne's son, Christopher Robin, was a frequent visitor to the zoo and became smitten with Winnie. And the rest, as they say, is history.
That's such a heartwarming story.
It is.
It's amazing to think that a little piece of Manitoba history found its way into the hearts of children worldwide.
It really is. And it speaks to the surprising ways in which our world is interconnected.
I love that.
You never know where inspiration will strike or how a chance encounter can lead to something truly extraordinary.
It's true. And I love that we're getting to uncover all these hidden gems in your research.
That's the joy of the deep dive. It's about going beyond the surface and discovering the unexpected.
It is. Speaking of unexpected, I found it interesting that you highlighted the presence of indigenous languages like Cree and Ojibwe alongside English and French in Manitoba.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like a small detail, but it speaks volumes about the province's commitment to cultural diversity.
Absolutely. Language is so central to cultural identity, and the fact that these indigenous languages are still spoken and taught in Manitoba speaks to a respect for the past and a commitment to preserving these vital parts of their cultural heritage.
It's inspiring to see those efforts to keep those languages alive,
It is. It's a reminder of the importance of language and culture.
and it makes me even more excited to keep exploring.
Well, we've only just scratched the surface.
We've covered a lot of ground, that's for sure. From the coastal beauty of BC to the wild landscapes of Alberta, the vast prairies of Saskatchewan, and the cultural crossroads of Manitoba, each province has offered its own unique character and charm.
It's been quite a journey.
It has, and we've still got one more province to explore.
Ontario awaits.
Stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive, where we'll be delving into Ontario, the province with the largest population and arguably the most diverse cultural landscape in Canada.
It's going to be fascinating.
It is, it is.
From the wide open spaces of the prairies, we're diving into a region where over 200 languages are spoken. Ontario.
200 languages, wow. That's mind-blowing.
It truly embodies the idea of Canada as a cultural mosaic.
It really highlights how Ontario is this global crossroads.
Yeah.
But before we get lost in the urban jungle, I'm curious about the indigenous roots of this province.
Oh, absolutely. Ontario's Indigenous heritage is deeply woven into its identity. Communities like the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Ojibwe have shaped the very essence of this land for centuries.
Right.
Their presence is felt in the names of places, the stories that are told, and the relationship that many Ontarians have with the natural world.
It's a reminder that we're on land with such a rich history, a history that extends far beyond European arrival. And speaking of European influence, Ontario also has a strong French-Canadian presence, especially in the eastern part of the province, right?
Absolutely. Franco-Ontarian communities bring a distinct cultural flavor to the province.
For sure.
You'll find French language schools, vibrant festivals celebrating Francophone heritage, and a unique blend of cultures that's especially evident in places like Ottawa, the nation's capital.
It's amazing how these different cultural influences, they layer upon each other to create this fascinating tapestry.
It truly is a melting pot of cultures. And it's not just about the past either. Ontario is a province that embraces the new, the different, the unexpected.
That definitely comes through in their festivals, from cottage weekends in Muskoka to the Toronto International Film Festival, TIFF, and those incredible ice sculptures at Ottawa's Winterlude.
And don't forget Caravana,
Oh yeah,
North America's largest Caribbean carnival. It's an explosion of music, dance, and costumes that brings a taste of the Caribbean to the heart of Canada.
it's amazing.
And of course, we can't forget Pride Toronto, one of the world's largest LGBTQ+ celebrations.
It's true. Ontario knows how to celebrate in style.
Ugh.
It seems like there's something for everyone. And speaking of having something for everyone, let's talk about the music scene in Ontario.
Oh, get ready to be impressed. Ontario is a musical powerhouse. You've got global superstars like Drake, The Weeknd, Justin Bieber, and Shawn Mendes, all hailing from Ontario.
Right.
And let's not forget iconic rock bands like Rush and the Tragically Hip, whose music truly captures that Canadian spirit.
It's wild to think that so much musical talent comes from just one province. But it's not all about pop and rock, is it?
Not at all. Ontario's musical landscape is incredibly diverse. We've got legendary artists like Gordon Lightfoot and Joni Mitchell, whose folk music has touched generations, and incredible jazz and blues musicians coming out of places like Toronto and Hamilton.
It seems like Ontario's musical diversity, it really mirrors its cultural diversity.
Exactly, and it's constantly evolving and changing, which is what makes it so exciting.
Speaking of exciting, let's talk about food. What are some must-try Ontario dishes?
Well, if you're in Toronto, you can't miss the pea meal bacon sandwich from St. Lawrence Market. It's a true Toronto classic.
I've heard good things.
And of course, no Canadian food experience is complete without indulging in some butter tarts.
Oh, butter tarts.
The best.
They're so good. And while we're on the topic of iconic Canadian foods, what about poutine?
Even though it originated in Quebec, poutine is a beloved dish all across Canada, and Ontario is no exception.
Yeah, for sure.
You'll find countless variations, from classic poutine with fries, cheese curds, and gravy, to gourmet versions with toppings like pulled pork, lobster, or even foie gras.
Wow. Gourmet poutine, that's a new one. But Ontario is also known for its wine regions, right?
Absolutely. Niagara-on-the-Lake is a beautiful region with vineyards stretching as far as the eye can see.
And the wines are fantastic.
They are. Ontario is producing some really world-class wines these days, and I hear the cheese is pretty amazing too.
Yeah, I love cheese.
You're right. Ontario produces some fantastic artisan cheeses, especially cheddar.
Okay.
Prince Edward County is a great place to sample some local varieties. And don't forget that Ontario's multicultural population means you can find incredible culinary experiences from around the world. From pierogies and samosas to dim sum and shawarma, your taste buds are in for a treat.
It sounds like a foodie paradise.
It is, but it's not all about the cities, right?
Right.
Ontario has some incredible natural wonders, too.
It does, it does.
Niagara Falls is obviously the big draw, but have you ever heard of Algonquin Provincial Park?
I've heard the name, but I don't know much about it. What makes it so special?
Algonquin Park is a nature lover's dream.
Okay.
It's perfect for canoeing, camping, hiking, wildlife spotting. You might even catch a glimpse of a moose. And then there's the Niagara Escarpment, a UNESCO World Biosphere Reserve that stretches for hundreds of kilometers.
Yeah.
It's home to stunning waterfalls, lush forests, and unique geological formations.
It's amazing to think that you can have these incredible natural landscapes just a short drive from bustling cities like Toronto.
It is. It's one of the things that makes Ontario so special.
Speaking of Toronto, what are some must-see sites in Ontario's capital?
Well, the CN Tower is an iconic landmark.
Oh, of course.
It's one of the tallest freestanding structures in the world, and the views from the top are breathtaking.
I bet. I've also heard great things about the Royal Ontario Museum, ROM, and the Art Gallery of Ontario.
They're both fantastic. The ROM has an incredible collection of artifacts from around the world, and the Ado has a diverse collection of Canadian and international art.
And for something a little different, what about Kensington Market?
Oh, Kensington Market is a vibrant neighborhood known for its bohemian vibe, vintage shops, and eclectic food scene. It's a great place to wander around, soak up the atmosphere, and discover hidden gems.
Sounds right up my alley. And what about beyond Toronto? What are some other Ontario destinations that you'd recommend?
Well, the Thousand Islands is a beautiful region along the St. Lawrence River. It's known for its scenic beauty and charming island communities. And then there's the Bruce Peninsula, which juts out into Lake Huron and offers stunning views, crystal clear waters, and even caves to explore.
Wow, that sounds incredible. I'm making a list as we
You
speak.
should.
What about for the wine lovers out there?
We already talked about Niagara-on-the-Lake, but Prince Edward County is another fantastic wine region.
Okay.
And while you're there, be sure to check out Sandbanks Provincial Park. It has some of the most beautiful sandy beaches in Ontario.
Ontario really does have it all, from bustling cities to charming towns and breathtaking natural landscapes. It's no wonder it's the most populous province in Canada.
And we haven't even scratched the surface of its history and culture. Did you know that Wayne Gretzky, the great one of hockey, was born in Ontario?
No way. I had no idea.
It's true. And Margaret Atwood, the renowned author of The Handmaid's Tale, calls Toronto home. And let's not forget Jim Carrey, the hilarious actor and comedian who also grew up in Ontario.
It's amazing how many influential figures have come from Ontario. And speaking of influence, Ontario plays a huge role in Canada's entertainment industry.
Absolutely. Toronto is a major film and television production hub. Did you know that the iconic teen drama series Degrassi was filmed in Toronto?
I love Degrassi. I had no idea it was filmed in Canada.
It's true. And there are countless other examples of Ontario's impact on the screen, both big and small. And speaking of stages, Ontario is home to the Stratford Festival, one of the most renowned classical theater festivals in North America.
Wow.
It's a must-visit for any theater lover.
I'm so impressed by the breadth of Ontario's cultural offerings.
It's truly remarkable.
And we can't talk about Ontario without mentioning Ottawa, the nation's capital.
Ottawa is a beautiful city with a unique blend of history, culture, and politics.
For sure.
Parliament Hill is a must-see, of course, and the Rideau Canal, which runs right through the heart of the city, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. In the winter, it transforms into the world's largest naturally frozen skating rink.
That sounds magical.
Yeah.
What about for those who like to shop and explore local markets?
Byward Market is a bustling marketplace in Ottawa where you can find everything from fresh produce and local crafts to souvenirs and unique boutiques. It's a great place to experience the local flavor of the city.
I love exploring local markets. It's such a great way to get a sense of a place. Now, before we move on to our final province, is there anything else about Ontario that you'd like to highlight?
Well, no discussion of Ontario would be complete without mentioning the Toronto Raptors.
Oh, yeah.
They made history in 2019 by becoming the first Canadian team to win the NBA championship.
That was a huge moment for Canada.
Yeah.
I remember everyone was glued to their screens, cheering them on. It really brought the country together.
It did. And it's a testament to Ontario's love of sports and its growing presence on the global stage.
Ontario really is a force to be reckoned with. And speaking of things that are uniquely Ontarian, what about some of those quirky slang terms or phrases that people might hear if they visit?
Well, you'll definitely hear "a" at the end of sentences, and cottage country is a common phrase referring to the vast network of lakes and forests in northern Ontario where many people have summer homes.
I can definitely picture myself relaxing by a lake in cottage country. And what about the 6/9ths? I've heard that term used to refer to Toronto.
That's a nickname popularized by Drake, the Toronto-born rapper. It refers to the 6 boroughs that were amalgamated to form the present-day city of Toronto.
That makes sense. And I've also heard people refer to Toronto as T-Dot and Hogtown. What's the story behind those nicknames?
T-Dot is simply a shortened version of Toronto, while Hogtown has a more interesting origin.
Okay.
But back in the 19th century, Toronto was a major pork packing center, hence the nickname Hogtown.
That's fascinating. It's amazing how language reflects the history and culture of a place.
Absolutely. And Ontario, with its diverse mix of cultures and regional identities, has a rich linguistic tapestry that's just waiting to be explored.
It sounds like we could spend hours just talking about the nuances of Ontario slang.
We could.
But we've got one more province to cover in our Western Canada deep dive.
That's right. It's time to head east once again to a province known for its loyalist roots and its motto, Incipit fidelis sic permane, meaning loyal she began, loyal she remains.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this province and its motto. Where are we headed?
Our final destination is none other than Ontario's neighbor to the east, the province of Quebec. It's a province with a distinct French-Canadian identity, a rich history, and a culture all its own.
Quebec City, here we come. Get ready for poutine, cobblestone streets, and a whole lot of French. From the mountains of British Columbia to the prairies of Saskatchewan, we've really covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have. And through those wide open spaces and bustling cities, we've uncovered so much about what makes each province unique.
It's true. And I have to say, I'm really starting to appreciate the incredible diversity of this country, even more so than before.
I think that's one of the most beautiful things about Canada, that mosaic of cultures, landscapes, and experiences. It's something to be cherished.
It really is. But, after all this exploration, I'm still wrestling with that question you posed earlier. What what does it even mean to be Canadian in a country with such diverse regional identities?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And honestly, I don't think there's a single easy answer.
Right.
It's a question that Canadians have been grappling with for generations.
Yeah.
But maybe it's about embracing both the differences and the commonalities that make up this vast and complex nation.
I like that. Recognizing that there's no one right way to be Canadian.
Exactly.
Celebrating those regional identities while also acknowledging that we're all part of something larger.
And that's what makes Canada so special, I think. A place where you can be both a proud Albertan and a proud Canadian, where you can celebrate your Ukrainian heritage while embracing the values of multiculturalism.
It's like a giant mosaic where each piece is unique and beautiful on its own, but together they create something even more stunning.
I love that analogy. It really captures the essence of Canada.
It does. So for you listening out there, what surprised you the most during our deep dive into Western Canada?
What new insights did you gain?
What stories really resonated with you? We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Hit us up on social media and share your takeaways.
And as you continue to explore Western Canada, whether it's through travel or your own research, here's a final thought to ponder. We've talked a lot about the blend of cultures.
The spirit of innovation.
Right.
But we also need to acknowledge the challenges that lie ahead.
What kind of challenges?
Well, think about the environmental concerns facing provinces like Alberta, which relies heavily on the oil industry.
Right.
How do we balance economic development with environmental sustainability? How do we ensure that future generations inherit a healthy planet?
Those are big questions. And they're not unique to Canada either.
It's a global issue.
It is.
Yeah.
It's something the entire world is grappling with.
And I think it's so important to engage in these conversations, to listen to different perspectives, and to work towards solutions that benefit both people and the planet.
It's a reminder that our deep dive, it isn't over.
There's always more to learn,
Always more to explore.
more to understand.
And that's what makes this journey so exciting.
Absolutely. The quest for knowledge never ends.
Well said. Thank you for joining us on this incredible adventure through Western Canada. We hope you've enjoyed the journey as much as we have.
We've had a fantastic time exploring with you.
And remember, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep.
Until next time.
Stay curious.